Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Rocky here, along with my guy Gav as usual, and we've got a very special guest, a good friend, a fellow Gooner. Jeff is in the building. How are you, bro?
Evening, guys. Yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely buzzing to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, man. Of course, we're on the back of the nil-nil draw um at the start of the week on Tuesday, but now we're here talking about the lovely shirts and, of course, your Arsenal story. And yeah, man, it's just amazing. We've had a great reception from the previous two podcasts we've done with Simon and Clement, and the buzz around it has just been amazing. Like everyone's sending us love, and of course, you reached out, you and we asked you as well if you wanted to come on board, and it's just absolutely amazing that you're here. And yeah, I thought let's get right into it. So, Jeff, man, how did you find your love for the Arsenal, and what makes you so passionate about us, the club?
Uh, yeah, well, I guess growing up, sort of living on the south coast, my local kind of Premier League team was Southampton. I used to go and watch them occasionally with my dad growing up. But my granddad and my great granddad were Arsenal fans, and I think my great granddad was born in the early like 1900s, obviously. Going back, and I think he would have been in his 20s in the 1930s, which is obviously when the club probably had its first kind of successful period. And although he's from the south coast, I imagine, listening to radio, reading newspapers, he probably would have picked up on the fact that Arsenal were a successful, an attractive team to support. And I think then my granddad's era in probably like the 70s, that kind of successful era. And I remember just being kind of probably 9 or 10, and although going to watch Southampton and enjoying that, thinking Arsenal were a good side, and I don't know, just the fact my granddad supported them, I started to watch them, and I think probably about 10 or 11, I started to really kind of get into football from a perspective that every game I would want to watch, and that kind of coincided with a successful Arsenal side, um, and yeah, I think that was probably the 2001 2002 season. Was I would have been about 11 then, so I think that's probably like the first season that I remember religiously following the club every single weekend, and keeping up to date with results. And yeah, I think probably as well as I got a little bit older, the history of the club I really kind of got into following and reading up on. And history is so amazing. I know there's plenty of clubs out there with with have won many trophies, but I just feel like our history is just it's just next level. And some of the players we've had, and the trophies we've won in our history is right up there with the best clubs in England and the world. So yeah, I think the whole kind of Arsenal package for me, uh, the values of the club, and uh, just probably has kind of filled my love for it, really.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. The key word that stuck out for me there is just the history, man. Like, it's amazing how it runs sort of deep in your, in your generation, the past generation. But the key word, as I said, was history, man. And I remember Gav when you came down to London, well, we came up.
Yeah.
We went through the museum, and one thing that was amazing was just the amount that was on display, like being able to look through like, the different eras. Of course, like me and Gav and, the if you go into the museum, the right side covers everything from about the 80s to current. But what was also so like, capturing was the other side, which had sort of the pre-80s and stuff like that. So it's very interesting to hear that your family and past generations must have sort of experienced all that was up for show there. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to add. I know Gav can probably relate to you a bit more because he's from the same sort of area, but yeah, I'll let Gav take the reign there.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Southampton myself, so I didn't have the sort of the luxury of having a family that were interested in Arsenal like I did. So I was very brainwashed into Southampton, and I actually worked for them for about 7 years, which was an experience, to be fair. Seeing everything sort of behind the scenes, the Premier League, and so you almost have a lot. You can't help but love them a little bit because it's your job as well, But Yeah, so it's always been a bit interesting for me when I was the only person that absolutely adored Arsenal and from a young age was just so into them. But yeah, when everyone around you saying Southampton, Southampton, no, it's hard, isn't it? But like you said, Geoff, like the history of Arsenal is just when I was young, it was originally to do with the style of play. I couldn't believe, by the '89, I was quite young and I managed to witness that, and I was just like, wow, this team is that's unbelievable, that comeback, and from there, playing football as a young kid, it just inspired me. But then, like you said, you kind of catch on to like the history and everything else, and then it becomes even more, becomes a real passion. And you're right, they do have a history compared to many that they just don't have it, and it's yeah, seeing like Rocky said, seeing some of that in the flesh, seeing some of the older stuff, just fascinating, or some of the old kits and what they would wear. But yeah, it just engulfs your life, doesn't it? It really takes over everything. I think, like Clement said in the last pod, when you cling on to something and it affects your everyday life. I mean, obviously for Rocky, it's completely his life. He lives there. He's got does the vintage shirts as well. So it's but yeah, you sort of wake up every day sort of thinking about Arsenal, which doesn't always please the wife, but you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, there's worse things in life to be addicted to, and it's good to have a passion that and I'm sort of passing on to my son now. He's obsessed with football. He watches Arsenal. He runs. I make him watch the rerun of the 49 unbeaten, that sort of thing, and but he's fascinated by it, and it just continues, and hopefully, generational generations will continue to love Arsenal, and we'll hopefully be creating some more history soon.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. But yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, the reason why, of course, we got a podcast is to talk about, your story and stuff. But the main thing, the main sort of topic we really want to scope into as well is the shirts. I know you can't. I think we started talking about 6, 7 months ago. I think it was around August time. And I remember you just hitting me up and being so like fascinated with the shirts and stuff. So thank you for that and for obviously embracing everything I put out. But I just wanted to say, like, what makes you so like, you know, captured with the shirts? Like, what makes you love them so much? And what are your sort of top 3 shirts? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess again, just going back to the history, and I think yeah, like you say about the '89 season, and probably, I mean, myself being born in 1990, I feel like some of the '90s shirts are really iconic, and I don't know, I guess from a fashion perspective, they're obviously quite pleasing to look at, a lot of them, and again, just the story behind them, the sponsors we've had, whether it be Nike, Puma, Adidas, and like just the way that kind of coincides with successful eras of teams and players. And I always see these posts online where you'll see an Arsenal shirt and you'll think, what player do you think of in this shirt? And I love that kind of feeling when you see a shirt and you immediately associate it with a player, because everyone's got different personal memories of a shirt. It might be an iconic goal that that you're at the ground, or you've seen on TV that just was a goal that you really liked. So I think that association with the shirts, and also just, I guess, in a way, it's probably in a strange way, my own way of kind of owning a little piece of Arsenal history. I think I've just mentioned to you before, like I collect a few programs from various eras, and again, it's just nice to have these shirts to kind of represent an era that you're fond of, or a player you're fond of, and something that you can kind of look back on, and just feel like you've got a part of the history and like special memories that go with it, really, I guess. But yeah, and in terms of like top 3, really, quite, I guess, tough. I guess everyone says it's tough, but I think for me, the first season I can remember really, like I say, religiously watching was the 2001-2002 season. And I remember I didn't have, like, as like family, we didn't have Sky at the time. So I remember like tuning into like teletext for, which is completely outdated thing now, but for keeping up with scores and waiting for that flash. So I think, and then probably watching Match of the Day religiously every Sunday morning, getting up and watching it. So that 2001, 2002 season. I'm just going to grab one.
Yes.
Probably in my top. So these are the first two shirts I owned, and I'm never getting in these again ever because they're large boys.
Wow.
They're tiny. But I've got obviously like the home one, and I've got Perez on the back.
Nice.
But this one's probably in my top three is the away one, and probably a bit of a controversial choice for the name set, but I've got 3 Cole.
I'm joking. That's but I mean, again, it's about the history behind it, you know, and it's like,
yeah,
and it's sort of opened my eyes up recently as well. Like a lot of people have been requesting sort of Van Persie shirts, and you know, I know some fans who wouldn't mind having an Adebayo or like a Nasri. And
yeah.
I've got literally nothing against that, because it's like every shirt has a time and, you know, a place associated with it. Do you know what I mean? And I think you look back at those seasons and they were so important to us, you know. Ashley Cole, for example, probably one of the best Premier League left backs of all time, if not the actual. So yeah, I don't blame you for having that on your shirt. And even if it's a new shirt and you wanted Cole on the back, I still wouldn't scrutinize you for it, because you know it captures a time and a moment. But that's really cool, man. And yeah, didn't you also pick up one recently as well, the in an adult size?
Oh yeah, the home one, yeah,
Yeah.
the Omri one. Well,
Yes.
again, it's nice to have one I can fit into. So yeah,
Yes.
I've
There you
just gone for the classic, yeah. But
go.
but yeah, no, it's interesting you say that, because obviously at the time you don't really realise that what players are necessarily going to do in the future, whether they're going to go down as club legends or or the opposite. But like you say, Ashley Cole was a fantastic player for us, and was certainly made his name with Arsenal, and obviously went on to have a great career. And I think the season before, I remember when he was number 29. I think if I found a shirt like that out there, I would probably still buy that. I don't know why. I just love the 29 number that he had associated with him for that sort of breakthrough that he had. But yeah, no, it's that they're probably they were like my first shirts. Do you want me to go on to like 2 and 3 now, or
Yeah,
or do you want?
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. I'll get them out of the way. So I guess this is probably, I think you've got this one on you in the long sleeve.
Yes, I'm wearing a long sleeve now.
Yeah. Oh wait. 09. I just love the shirt, and particularly the name set I've got, the Champions League font. I just absolutely adore that. It's just so clean. Just there's something about it I love. And Diaby, I was just such a big fan of. I feel so sorry for him. Obviously, he picked up that atrocious injury at Sunderland, and we saw glimpses of how good he could have been. And I think he just looked in the Vieira mold. And I think I've like memories of him of like, I think he scored a goal against Aston Villa, where he literally ran the whole length of the pitch. And I think Abue played him in and he swept it in. And just that for me was just such an exciting kind of memorable moment for him. And obviously it never quite materialized, picked up injuries. But yeah, I think that shirt, I don't know why, it's just, there's no real kind of reason for it, but just the name set, the style of the shirt, and obviously the associated memory with Diaby and being one of my favorite players at the time. So that's got to be up there as well.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. Like Diaby was again, like I'm not sure if I've told everyone, but I put it on my story once before. But when I had my 05-06 shirt as a kid, he was the guy that I had on the back, because you know the praises were high, and you know, of course, Vieira had just left, and you know, it was just amazing to see someone come in for that role. Again, as you say, it's unfortunate that his career didn't pan out, but going back to the original point, it's just the moments and everything like that that just coincide with each other that make shirts so special. I remember back in the day, I used to scrutinize, funnily enough, Gav for wanting Fabregas on this shirt, and but obviously my times have changed now, and I've sort of seen the sense. But Gav, man, how special is that shirt, man? The 08-09 away.
Oh, it's amazing. I think it's a really good choice as well. But again, going back to what he said, it's all about personal memories. It's what it hits home with you, you know. And talking about Diaby as well. Yeah, I mean, we've had multiple conversations about Diaby. We usually spend an hour just talking about him sometimes. Man, what he could have been. He was like the first Yaya Toure for me. Do you know what I mean? He fit that mold. He was just looking in physically, you say that shouldn't work. Really shouldn't work. He shouldn't be that quick and mobile, but also quite skillful as well. And but just defensively minded, but then could go and score absolute bangers. So it's just like, oh, it's so depressing to see how his career panned out, and it, it's such a shame. But yeah, absolutely amazing shirt, man. It's kind of got like hints of all different old shirts, and it's kind of like crammed into one. It's such a nice shirt. But yeah, wow, that's a really good choice. And again, the fonts on the back, the red, it's a really weird. The name set, actually, the name, the way it looks is slightly different to the actual number, and it's just different. Because I know you've got the home version as well with the white for the Champions League. That looks nice as well. But yeah. And sort of going back to what we were talking about with Fabregas and sort of Cole, that sort of thing. Whatever happened. But like, I know with you, Rocky, you were sort of a bit funny with him for a while. As many Arsenal fans were funny with Fabregas, but seeing pictures of him back with Wilshere at the moment with the training and stuff like that, it's almost like everyone just forgot that and like, oh, it's amazing to have Fabregas back. How nice is that? Do you know what I mean? It's so in that moment, when they're doing what they're doing for us, we'll always have that memory. So whatever happens afterwards, it's not always great, but I'm completely with you. Like, I think you should try and go and get a Cole 29 now. That should be your next mission, man. Absolutely, man. Rocky, you need to sort him out. Come on, mate.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah. When you said that, I sort of forgot there for a minute, and then I remember there was his breakthrough season, and it's also what makes like so many other shirts so special. I know you love as well, Geoff, like the sort of previous numbers, like the one behind me as well. You got Smith Rowe 32, and of course, like Saka as well when he was 77. So all these shirts are so special in their own way. But yeah, it's so cool, man. So cool.
It's interesting as well with the numbers. Like, just going back to Diaby, like having a central midfielder with a number 2. I think for me that was just quite iconic. Number 2 is always perhaps you associate with the right back, but to have a box to box central midfielder bossing it, wearing number 2, I know like Fabinho I think wears 3 for Liverpool, doesn't he? But it's quite rare you see that. So again, I think that's probably quite part of the draw to Diaby for me, was just the uniqueness of his number as well.
Yeah, no, I feel the same, and I think that's what sort of made me draw towards it as well. When I was a kid in the 05-06 home shirt, I was like, damn, like that's number 2. Like you don't really see it on like a midfielder. So that's exactly it, man. Smashed it on that one. Yeah, that's really sick. And your third? What's your third, man? I'm excited.
Third. You're gonna recognize this one because this is one you've helped me out with, which is the 99. Yeah, 2000. Just because of Henri, really. I think just the first kind of obviously first goal for the club away at Southampton, and yeah, just because it's Henri, just because as well, I just love the Sega, iconic away yellow. So I think that probably would just about get in there for me as well. But yeah, obviously the king, so you can't really go wrong, can you?
No, exactly, man. That shirt there, of course, with his first ever Arsenal goal, it's so iconic, man. That was his breakthrough, and everything else was just history at that point. It was the real mark, and the goal itself was really good as well. Like if you look back at the clip, I'll try and put it in the video as well. It's just absolutely insane, like his ability and stuff like that, and it's just unbelievable. But that shirt as well, in particular, like we've said it before multiple times, like the fit of it is so nice, just the shape of it as well. The Sega sponsor, it's just so iconic in so many ways, and it just pops. Gav as well, that's one of your favorites as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think a lot of people overlook it almost because of the gold version. Do you know what I mean? It's the textures on it. There's something about the actual shirt, like the material, just a little bit thicker. And like you said, Rocky, it kind of just sits really nicely. And it's so nice. And it's good that you've got an original one, because I've seen so many dodgy fake ones of that one going around the internet, and it's painful to see them. But yeah, and I think we talked about it last time with the Sega. It just looks different. It's just so nice. It's just an amazing shirt. If you could see, I probably got drool coming down my face just talking about it. But it's just so nice, man. I think all of our yellow shirts back then, you know, if you look back at all the, you know, the early 90s and stuff like that, going to the late ones, just the yellow just always seemed to pop really nicely. Like the one you've got on, Geoff, is just, yeah, different levels back then, wasn't it? But yeah, I mean, just going back to Henry, and like I say, he was almost struggling at that point as well. He's like desperate to get that first goal, wasn't he? So, and what a way to do it! What a goal, you know. Unfortunately, against Southampton, I felt a little bit bad for them, but you know, he's got to start somewhere, and yeah, just the beginning of the king, I guess. But yeah, a great choice, man. Really good choice.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's that kind of memory association, and that
Yeah.
that for me, Omri was kind of, I guess Omri and Bergkamp are probably from my generation growing up watching Arsenal. That they were the two players that kind of were the catalysts for like the iconic players. And I've just realised as well, I've picked 3 away shirts for my for my top 3. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing or what, but yeah. But there we go, 3 aways.
No, that's really cool. If you had to pick a home though in recent era, what would you say is your favorite out of the most recent ones? Like from onwards or pre-Nike, like just before that era.
Do you know what? It's probably just because it's right behind me, but I do really like this season's purely because of again, I don't know if it's because of that cup font, but I think I've said to you before, particularly I think the Xhaka one, it just drew me to it because it looks like a ice hockey shirt. It's just got that like really like big bold kind of font. But I mean, I guess that would be up there. I think probably the first Adidas one as well, just because that we hadn't had Adidas sponsor for such a long time, and just to get back to Adidas was, that kind of felt like a special shirt. And so I guess probably the first season back to that has got to be up there as well, certainly. And again, this season, I think this season shirts have been really good, the 3. I mean, the way I think I heard you say on the pod last time, like it's going to probably go down as a classic. And I mean, even the pink is really cool as well. It's certainly got something about it. So yeah, I mean, Adidas and Arsenal have got such a good association over there, and they certainly work together to do some pretty amazing shirts.
Yeah, no, it's just amazing, man. Their partnership has been so good. Like every sort of shirt has its own moment associated with it. I look back at that sort of 2019-20 season, and all I picture is just the second half of the season with the NHS and the Black Lives Matter on it. And then obviously the semi-finals against Man City as well, when we also wore the special patches and the cup font on the back. There's just so many special variations of it. So I honestly don't blame you on that one as well. But who have you got on? Have you got anyone on the back of the current 3rd shirt or the pink one?
Yes, yeah, I have. My wife got me this for my birthday, so if she listens, she'll be quite pleased she brought this up. But
wow, yes, that's really cool. I think we said this on the phone as well yesterday. I've always liked how your collection is so different in the way that it's not the most popular player right now who you always go for. It's quite unique names, and especially through like what you've got from the site and stuff. It's just so nice and refreshing to see, you know, every sort of player get love, because, you know, sometimes everyone always asks for the ones that just spring to mind, like, you know, the Sakas and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course. Like, I enjoy that as well. But there's just something about the Zinchenko's and the Xhakas and even a Willock you've got from me before, which is so good, man. It's so refreshing. What draws you to those names? Like, what's so special about them?
Again, I think it probably is like moments and just players that you kind of have a like to, you take a shine to, and I guess the underdog almost, so to speak, and just to be a bit different. And I think, like I said to you about the Willock one, which like obviously the Smith Rowe one you've got behind you, just that goal at Anfield. You know, we lost the game on penalties, but I just remember watching that game, like watching on TV, and just such an amazing game and such an amazing goal. And I remember Martinelli, I think, scored a couple in that game. And so I guess it is just probably like moments. I mean, with Zinchenko, I think throughout the summer, I was really rooting that we signed him. And I know we were linked with Martinez, who ended up at United, and we needed like a left-sided defender. And I don't know, Zinchenko for me was just someone I really, really wanted as a fan. And when we got him, I just thought, oh, need to get him on a shirt
Yeah,
just to sort of celebrate that fact. And obviously he's come into the side and been when he's played, he's been immense, hasn't he? He's sort of played that Cancelo role for us and brought that kind of that idea from City. And sometimes you watch and you think, where's he playing? Is he sort of slots into the midfield? And but I've yeah. So I guess it's that really, just more personal memories, and yeah, just players that I like. I guess really, I don't
yeah.
think there's anything more behind it than that. I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I wish you could like I'm not telling you or or insinuating it, but I wish everyone could see every single one of your shirts because they've all got like a special name on the back and it's really cool. It's sort of like recently I got a Cedric match worn to the collection. I'll get it out. I think it's this one. One second. Yeah, this one here.
Oh,
And
nice.
people like to me, why are you getting Cedric for? But there's just something about like just a unique name set and just the patch as well, the cup, the Carabao Cup. You never really see it. And I just think it's always good to just admire those players. And I know he's not Sinchenko level, but it's still, cool to see. But yeah, just on your Zinchenko point, I 100% agree. He's so influential, and I'm not surprised why he went for that. But yeah, Gav, what's your thoughts on Zinchenko?
Chenko, yeah, I've had a few moments with him, only because sometimes he can be a bit loses his attacker a little bit sometimes, but I have to keep reminding myself that he is new to the team, but what he has brought, I think he literally showed it against Newcastle. I mean, we were struggling, and like you kind of said, Geoff, and you don't always know where he's playing, and he came up so much. He was almost like a left winger, and then he went into the midfield as well. He was just continuously pressing when no one else was. I thought, man, like I really loved Tierney, but I couldn't see him doing that. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we needed at that time. And he nearly set up so many goals, and I absolutely love his passion. That guy, like, he's only been here for how long, and look how much he loves the club, and he shows it on the pitch. Even when he's not on the pitch, he's screaming. You know what I mean? It's like he's exactly what we needed. He's that extra depth and quality that we didn't have, and we would always struggle because if Tierney was injured, we'd have Kohler, and it's just not that level. Do you know what I mean? We're finally in that situation where we're almost like City, where you've got a complete replacement to come straight on, but he's become the number one now, so quickly as well. And yeah, as much as sometimes I do worry that he doesn't track back, what he does bring completely goes over that. No one's perfect, and I think he's a massive addition to this club. I think for the season ongoing, he's going to be really, really crucial because he just seems to be stepping up more and more every game as well. And yeah, I've got nothing but love for him. And same as sort of Ben White. I had my doubts with him, when he first came in, but I thought he was supposed to be a centre back, but he's Tommy also can't get in the team, and it's fantastic to see that sort of effort being put in by the players, and it's nice to have a defence finally. It really is, from what we did have. But yeah, anyway, going back to Chenko, I'm going to end up talking about the whole team now. But yeah, fantastic player, and yeah, I think he's going to be very, very crucial. Hopefully, he stays injury free.
Yeah, yeah, man. Geoff, you've got a Ben White shirt, right?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yes, come on, show us.
I didn't plan that.
Yeah, here we go.
Yes,
Yeah,
there it is, man.
I think it's the Leicester away
Yeah.
when Ramsdale made that save. So yeah, again, yeah, just awesome shirt. Love the poppy. And yeah, I agree. Obviously he's coming to his own this season, isn't he? I think when Saliba signed, at the start of the season, I think a lot of fans were probably scratching their heads thinking who's going to start, who's going to make way. Gabriel being left-footed is probably hard to take out of the team, but yeah, I mean, I think our balance at the back now is phenomenal, really. To think that we've got players who can come in, and I've noticed Arteta the last few weeks. He started flipping the fullbacks a little bit with half an hour to go. He bring on Tomiyasu and Tierney, and I mean they're fantastic players to have at your disposal to bring on or to rotate for a game if someone's maybe not quite fit. And yeah, it feels like we've got a real balance to the side from top to bottom, which I think for the last 10, 15 years, there's maybe been one or two players you think, like, I don't know if they're quite good enough.
Mm.
Throughout the season, you'll sort of think, oh gosh, we could have someone a bit better there. Maybe they're not quite the finished article, but I feel like this season is probably the first season for a while where I've actually thought, yeah, do you know what? There's probably not a player in this team I'd change. And even in Ketia, since Jesus has been injured, has come in and he's hit the ground running, which I was really pleased with, because I think he's a sort of player that probably needs a bit of confidence. And when he got that goal on Boxing Day, I thought that was really good for him to start his momentum really, and hopefully keep going, scoring some goals.
Yeah, no, that's completely amazing. Like, I agree with every point there, and I think like this is really like Arteta's team right now, and it goes to show how far we up the table, and just the way everyone is like so great together on the pitch. Like, there's so much chemistry between everyone, and as you say, to be able to flip players and put them in certain positions and stuff, and that's just amazing. Like, that's why, like, as you were saying, Gav, like Zinchenko playing like left wing as well. I do feel like there are so many players on the team that we have that are so versatile, and if one person isn't fit, as you said, Geoff, like one can just slip in and make sure that they fulfill that role. And I just think it's really good that we have so many options. Tommy could play right back and left back. Ben White can play now right back and centre back. So it's just sort of limitless, the options that we have there in that department. I just hope we look at the other end of the pitch now and see that in the wing sort of position role, we need that sort of backup. But yeah, I'm sure hopefully this transfer window will get into something. But yeah, Gav, you always have a question. It sort of ties into what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'll leave you to the question.
cool, man. Yeah, you know what it is, Geoff. Do you think we can win the league?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. In a strange way, like, you've obviously been now 5 points clear as it stands. We're in a lovely position. We've got some tough games coming up, but so have Manchester City as well. But yeah, I mean, I think we're playing so well. As we just said, the balance of the squad seems good. If we are able to add maybe one or two in January to help get us over the line, yeah, I don't see why not. And I think you've mentioned this when we've been chatting, that some of the, if there were maybe 5 or 6 teams in the race, if your Liverpool's, Chelsea's were kind of a couple of points behind us, you could probably say the law of averages that one of them might kick on and maybe go on a 10-game unbeaten run and all of a sudden be a few points ahead. But for the moment, and I hope it continues this way, it kind of feels like it's just us and City really, and everyone else is following on behind. So in a strange way, like, I think because we find ourselves in this position, it's so nice to talk about it, but I don't think I would be particularly upset or gutted if we didn't win the league. From my perspective, it'd be nice to maybe get to 30 games with 8 to go and sort of think we're 12 points clear of 5th, or we're 12 points clear in the Champions League places. 3 or 4 wins from the last 8 would guarantee us Champions League football. And I think at the start of the season, most fans would probably have taken that. So I think realistically, it would be nice just to cement that Champions League and not be 2 games to go and have to go somewhere challenging and think, oh, we really need to win this to make sure we get Champions League football. It would be nice just to have that sorted by 7-8 games to go. But yeah, I don't see why not if the team keeps playing the way they do. And I think Guardiola's even started his mind games now, isn't he? And sort of started to say, if Arsenal carry on the way they are, we won't catch them. So whether that's legit kind of praise or whether it's mind games from him, I don't know. But so yeah, sorry, long-winded answer there, but in a word, yes.
No, man, that's a good one. No, I think, and it's a real it's a difficult scenario because on the one hand, you kind of mentioned then, Geoff, that this opportunity, like Chelsea, United, Liverpool, Spurs, I don't like mentioning them, but you have to, I guess. But they're in that position where they're completely off. Like this doesn't usually happen. It's usually, last season, cross there was like a few points between everyone for like most of the season. In the top six, and it kept going up and down. But I guess everyone's kind of feeling like, will this happen again? Is this the best opportunity we are going to have for quite a while to win the title? And now, do they go and invest a ton of money that we usually wouldn't do to get a couple people in to, because you have to look at City yesterday. They were playing terrible against Chelsea, but they brought on, world class players, and look what happened. We didn't have that against Newcastle, which was frustrating. So, do we mount this challenge? Do we go and spend silly money and win the title for the we know how long it's been, or do we look at the positive and say, well, do you know what, we are on the right path now, we're on the right process. Okay, we might not win it this year, but now everybody sees what Arsenal was about. They're all going to want to come back to us again. People want to sign for us. We're back in the Champions League, fingers crossed, and we'll get there anyway. But I guess the only other issue is the Uniteds with the money they've got, and everyone else, Liverpool will invest in the summer as well. And then it's going to be that sort of battle again to see if we can get in the top four. I mean, obviously, we'd like to say that we would the way we're playing either way, but it's difficult. But the only way I can, not any negative, always, do you know what? We never thought we'd be anywhere near any of this conversation, 2 seasons ago. So if we're in the Champions League, that's got to be better than anything. We're on the right track, and for how many years? I'd say over a decade, we just haven't been anywhere near that. So interesting times. But I hope we can win the league, because again, I don't see any opportunity this good in such a long time. It's got to be worth a punt. But will they spend 80 odd million on Madrid and stuff like that? I don't know. It's interesting if we can get Felix as well, and now we're being rumoured with Rice as well, because Chelsea are doing so terrible. Now they want to come to potential winners, the league and Champions League top four. So very interesting. You think about some of the names we used to be linked to, and now everyone's hoping to come to Arsenal. It's quite nice. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But it's all positive really, and that's the best feeling. But I'll let you. I'm going to carry on gibbering on about it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
what do you think, Rocky?
Yeah, I think we definitely can win the league. But again, it goes back to what you say about just the investment side. Do the Cronkies invest? And it's a question that was asked before, because when we had those run of games just before United and after, everyone was sort of starting to question it and say, we do need that backup on the right wing. I know at the end of the transfer window, the things between Rafinha and obviously the guy from Villa, can't remember his name, midfielder.
Douglas Luiz.
That's it,
Yeah.
Douglas Luiz. I was going to say Costa for some reason. But yeah, so there are options, and there are departments that we have to look at and fulfill where we're short at. So yeah, definitely, if we can clean up those little margins where we're lacking in, I think we definitely can go the whole way. And I again, as you said yesterday with Man City, the way they were playing, it wasn't that great against Chelsea. You thought maybe Chelsea could run away with the game, perhaps in certain moments, but the key for them was bringing on Grealish, and he came on, he got the assist, and bang, they got 3 points in the bag. And that's what could have been the difference at Newcastle as well. But the difference was with us is that things were clicking, things looked like we were positive and were going well. So there's clearly a style of play, and we've seen how effective we are going forward, but we're just lacking in that one thing, and that's just strength off the bench. And a lot of people were sort of forgetting, but I think one person who would have been important for us was Reece Nelson. He got his injury in that silly Juventus game, the sort of I think it was that friendly just before after the World Cup, sorry. And he went down. Once he went down, I was like, damn, like now we have absolutely just like zero options for the left wing or the right wing. So yeah, it proves that anyone of quality or someone who can fulfill that role of just where we're lacking in, I think it'll be so important going forward. And you know, Kroenke, like there was words about him having the money there, but I'm not sure. He must do. They must do. But we've seen the bids. It's just, can they go all out and get what we need? That's the question.
So I sort of think as well, it would be worth. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but you sort of feel like bring the summer budget forward, like get
Yeah,
the players now, and spend the summer's budget now, and if that can, who knows, like roll the dice, and it might win us the league, or it might certainly cement Champions League football, and then maybe in the summer have a quiet summer, and if we did get someone like Mudryk, they're going to be better set for next season with 6 months, kind of bedding in.
yeah,
And I think as well, I like the idea of what Arteta said. I mean, whether it will materialise or not, but getting our business done early in January, because you can sign a player on January 31st, but if you sign them on the 1st, there's 4 or 5 games there that 12, 15 points up for grabs, which could get you in the Champions League or get you to the title, which can be such an important aspect of it. Can it really? Like
yeah,
if that could be the game changer for our season, is when a player signs and when we're able to utilize them. And like you say with the wings, that I think, Marquinhos, we signed him in the summer. I don't think any of us probably expected him to be a first team regular, and he got some minutes in the Europa, didn't he? But clearly Arteta doesn't really fully trust him yet, because like you say, that Newcastle game, we were desperate for some legs, some freshness on the wings. And I think if we hadn't have lost Pepe in the summer, or loaned him out rather, that would have been a game where you just want some freshness on, someone to try something different, someone for the defence to think differently about. And at the moment, unfortunately we haven't got that. And I mean, it's fortunate that Smith Rowe hopefully isn't too far from coming back, and I
yeah.
think hopefully we'll see him Monday. But yeah, definitely some numbers needed, I think.
Yeah, no, he is scheduled to start. I read on the Athletic that he's starting against Oxford, which is a massive result. Like we could do with him, and last year he was so important. I think he got like 10, 11 goals, which quite a few were off the bench. So it will be such a breath of fresh air to have him in. But exactly your point there with Marquinhos. I don't think Mikel trusts him too much, and it's a bit of a bad thing really. But yeah, man, just fingers crossed we add to our depth, and yeah, we can win the league in that sense, to answer the question.
I think I would like to see. I'm going to be totally honest. I'd like to see the Kroenke spend the money, just because we didn't do that last season when we just didn't get the top four. There, we could have maybe spent some money. We didn't, and I think they probably regretted that a little bit. And I just think there's so much money one from getting in the Champions League. All the marketing and all the money that's pumped into the club for just getting into the top four. But then there's loads of money and also getting in and actually winning the league. And the Cronkies love their money, don't they? So, to be able to put that in the club, they'd be silly to not try and go the whole hog. And after last season, I would like to see them spend some money. And because if you can win the league, there's getting top four, but if you can spend a bit more than you usually would to win a league, and with them knowing how long it's been, why not? Let's just do it. And I completely agree with what you say as well, Geoff. Like, it would be lovely to have a quiet summer. Be great, get all these good signings in now, get them ready, get 6 months under their belt. We're already more or less the polished product already. Look at us. So that would be amazing. So yeah, if they can pull off some great signings now, it'd be unbelievable. And I just want to touch on quickly. I still think it's absolutely amazing how young this team is. Like, before, that was the problem, because we didn't have, not the bottle, but it was just a lot of pressure to take on as a team when you're so young. But now they just soak it up, and it's almost like they feed off it. And when you're young, you've almost got nothing to lose. That's why we kind of do so well in the World Cup and the international stuff, because we've got so many young players come through. They've got less to lose. They're just going to go for it. It's their chance. And I kind of feel like that's what Arsenal have become. We've still got some experience, but we've also got these young kids who they understand what it is to play for Arsenal, what it means. and they absolutely love playing their football. And I think that's what we were missing before. So unbelievable. Unbelievable. I nearly said unbelievable Geoff then, but I won't if I did. But
get said to me occasionally.
yeah. But yeah, it's just it's amazing. It is unbelievable. It's just I didn't think we'd be in this situation, and it's crazy, amazing.
No, that's amazing, man. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it. We've answered the Gav's question of the pod, the famous question. But yeah, man, honestly, Geoff, it was amazing to have you on this podcast. And again, as we say to all of our guests that come on, we'd love to do a part 2 down the line, because it's always a pleasure. And yeah, we need to see some of those like shirts, the underrated ones. So yeah, it'd be great to talk about them again. But thanks for coming on, man, and appreciate your time and the support, and everyone for tuning into the podcast as well. It's been an absolute honor. So yeah, thank you, man.
No, thanks so much for having me, guys. And yeah, definitely up for part 2. Maybe we could do it end of the season. Hopefully we'll have some positive things to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
cool, man. Right, that's it for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We're off, man. Peace.
Cool. Cheers, man.
See ya. Thanks.